Rave reviews, Chris. People love to get inside your brain and learn a little bit from you. My parents watched it. My dad's a former football coach, loved every second of it. My mom fell asleep within the first minute and a half. So it's a very specific audience that will eat up this video.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we're going to try to keep Ahmed's mom awake for this one, okay? We got a podcast. It's a doozy on a Monday morning. How are you?
She must have been tired because normally she does really enjoy the podcast.
Yeah.
But it was when we were doing the X's and O's,
That's
you
a little
with the big
much.
board.
Yeah.
It was too much for her.
Did she? Well, I need to wake her up and go, wait, you need to watch your son mumble and stumble all over some of these words.
I will be yelling
like
at
a
your
nervous
son.
quarterback.
He will look like a weirdo and an idiot here in the next 10 minutes.
All right.
She would stay up for
you
that.
Good? Everything
I'm
good?
good. We're back in person
We're
here.
back in person, baby.
Is it going to be less weird for you this time? Because last time we were here in person, it was the first time that you had done a show with another human next to you in probably, 5 months?
Yeah.
Right?
Since March.
And you said that at a certain point you were getting distracted by looking at my mouth moving, and it just was weird for you.
No, I feel totally fine now. It's like it's no big deal to be next to you. No, but it is. It's funny. It like broke the ice though, and now I didn't even think about it until you just brought it up.
And now we're back.
Now we're back.
Your mind is back there. We do have a lot going on in this one. This is a fun one, and I'm getting like more energy as we get closer to the season because for a while there it was like we had the draft, and that was super exciting, and then the draft was cool. And then it was like, okay, now what?
Are we going to have football?
Yeah. And so there's a little bit of a lull, but now that we're back to practice, players are punching other players. I feel like that's really cool.
You know it.
So I feel like I've got like a good feeling with the next few pods we got here. We got an Ask Me Anything.
Okay.
So the homies once again compiled all those questions and took us places that we didn't even know that we would go, and so there's a lot of good things there.
Yeah.
There's some obvious movie trivia.
Oh, I love
that
it.
Pete wanted the homies to throw out there. I have not watched many movies in my life, and so we're going to see if I can get these rudimentary questions correct.
Right.
I have not looked at them.
Like
I've not
rudimentary.
Very rudimentary.
Rudimentary.
From what I hear. We're going to give your favorite team on the offensive side of the football. We've talked about this a couple of times.
Yeah.
We're making a fake team. We're putting it in a city that doesn't have an NFL franchise. We're actually putting it in a state that has never had
a franchise.
A pro sports team, probably.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And we're going to fill it with your favorite players that are currently playing football.
Good. I like that.
So all that to come. But, Chris, let's start with the news, right? Earl Thomas cut by the Ravens. You talked about it with Mike on PFT. Kind of comes, I would say, not out of left field after the last couple of days we've heard about him.
Right.
But this is a guy you signed 4 years, $55 million just last season. One of the best to ever do it at that position.
No doubt.
Back when he was with Seattle. And now you cut him. You just set him loose. What's your just initial reaction to how this all went down there?
Well, wow. I mean, because I think to what you're saying, like we didn't see this coming at the start of training camp. We weren't thinking like, ooh, there might be some issues. You know, usually you can tell when there's issues between a team and a player, whether it's money or they want to be traded or whatever it is, they're not happy. This one, there was no inklings of that, you know, and so I think that's the shocking thing. I think my biggest thing is this, all right, and again, let me say this just on the football aspect. I was shocked that the Baltimore Ravens signed him for as much money as they did last year. I was shocked. I know I said it on this podcast. I said it on PFT. You know, I had made some comments like, you know, Earl Thomas is no longer one of the top safeties in football. You know, I think that's the first thing I'd say to anybody out there listening right now. You know, because I of course, this news happens this weekend. I'm watching all the shows and the highlight shows and looking on, you know, the internet and everything else. How many people are like, oh my gosh, they're letting go of such a quality football player. You know, you don't just let a guy like Earl Thomas go. You don't let good players walk away. Listen, he's a Hall of Famer. As you said, he's a legend. He's awesome. That doesn't mean he's that right now. And I would say he's not that right now. He is not in that class of what we knew him to be with Seattle. And I think that's why Seattle, you know, let him go down the road in test free agency. And, you know, again, last year, we didn't really, I mean, Baltimore to this day is still the only team I heard that made any sort of like offer to the extent of like the kind of money he got from them this past year. Which is strange.
You don't just all of a sudden give someone 4 years and $55 million
right.
unless you feel like there's competition for him out there. So they got tricked. They might have gotten tricked by the agent or something happened.
Crazy to me. Crazy to me. Baltimore is, of course, one of the best run organizations in football.
Yeah.
And they don't make mistakes like that very often. To me, yeah, the safety, was it a need? Okay, yeah, certainly. I don't think it was like, oh my gosh, if they don't get some better safety play, they're screwed over. But yeah, they paid Earl Thomas like he was in the prime Earl Thomas. And that's not where he's at anymore. So I think that's the first thing I would say to all those out there, just from the simple football aspect of it. I was always shocked that he was there, signed for that money. Now, the second thing is, like, you don't see these situations come about very often, right? I mean, correct. You haven't seen them. Do you know how hard, how much you have to be disliked by your team and the organization for them to get rid of you the way that they just got rid of Earl Thomas? I mean, it doesn't happen. Not for a guy, especially that's a Hall of Fame type of football player.
Even if he's not at the level that he was, he's still significantly better than anything else you currently have on your roster.
Yeah, well, yes. I'm not going to say significantly better than anything they got on their roster. No, I'm not going to say
any
that.
Replacement for him. No,
okay,
don't think so?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, experience-wise, he's definitely better than Deshaun Elliott, who's the guy that's the backup there right now.
Yep.
But like the physical ability-wise, no, it is very, very, very middle of the road for Earl Thomas. It really is.
So you think, like, ability-wise right now, Deshaun Elliott, what has he played? 6 games in his career.
Yeah.
He's had injuries throughout his career, 3rd year with them. Could get up to speed and bring his level of production. They also got a guy that they drafted in the 7th round, Geno Stone, out of Iowa, that they kind of like there with his physical abilities. But
they got Jimmy Smith. They got other guys in the secondary that they can convert to safeties if they have to, certainly.
Wow, so you don't feel like there's that much of a drop-off with those guys who have very little experience?
No, not really, other than, like I said, the experience factor, the quarterbacking of a defense. I mean, Earl's going to be, light years ahead of them that way. He's going to be more comfortable in uncomfortable environments because of the experience and playing in Super Bowls and loud environments and all those things.
Was he making it harder on the other defensive backs? Well, that's part of the rumors that are out there, is that he would freelance a little bit too much.
There's no doubt. Yes, I think that was a big issue. And, the more you watch, and especially, me, I watch film and do all of that stuff, the physical explosion has just gone from Earl Thomas. So he's not a guy that you can necessarily want to play center field free safety. He can't turn and run like he used to, so he's not as good sideline to sideline for go routes and things like that. His range is not nearly the same. Open field tackling, not as good as it used to be. You could see his speed's not the same. I mean, there's 2 gifts from him last year. One being tossed around by Derrick Henry. Another one, him giving up on a play running after Nick Chubb, who's running for an 80-yard touchdown, right? Yeah. So, listen, 4 years ago, none of that happens. Earl Thomas tackles Derrick Henry. Earl Thomas runs down Nick Chubb. Not even close. So, again, it doesn't make me proud to say those type of things. But I think because of the name, and he's the household variety, and he came from the Legion of Boom, I do think people are over-embellishing the talent of the player at this point of his career. Yeah. I do think that. Yeah, I don't think we're at a very middle-of-the-crop type safety as far as the NFL is concerned. And to me, again, the big thing that's going to really, make flashing lights with the Earl Thomas. It didn't go smoothly when he left Seattle. Mm-hmm. And, of course, this is about as bad as it looks for an NFL team. Again, you have to be really disliked for a team to just basically part ways with you and really make no comments other than we're moving on.
I think it was 17 words.
I mean, there's no hey, Earl did so many great things for our organization. There was no farewell send-off, thanks for everything you did here. Yeah. I think their lack of saying things pretty much said it all, that they didn't want him here. That's all they're going to say about it, and it's over.
And I don't want to let the team off the hook here because, it's a lack of leadership. It broke down somewhere, right? Whether you were not able to bring him into your environment, which from all that we've heard for the Ravens is that they have a great environment there. People like playing there.
No doubt.
And so it does seem to be very player-friendly. But there was a breakdown of leadership somewhere. You just couldn't get him to buy in. And if these were recurring problems, you were not able to nip them in the bud until it got to the point where he's punching other players, and you gotta walk away from a 4-year, $55 million deal that has a lot of dead cap space.
Yeah.
Gives you a lot of problems now moving forward. So I don't want to take the team completely
But
off
I
the
don't
hook.
think he bought into them. To me, and again, I don't
There's
know
nothing
this.
they could do, you think?
Well, I think the outside looking in, even going back to last year and him fighting with Brandon Williams early in the season,
Sure.
to me, it always looked like Earl was trying to instill his way or the Seahawk way, and Baltimore was like, no, timeout. We've been awesome on defense for 20 years here. Just come in and be a part of us and be a good leader and a worker, and we'll all hold each other accountable and things like that. And to me, it sounds like Earl was putting himself in his own little stratosphere of, like, I'm better, I'm going to freelance and do those things. And that shit just doesn't fly with top alpha defenses. Just in my experience.
You think he was able to be that guy with Pete Carroll in Seattle?
A little bit. I think he could freelance a little bit, certainly, because the defense is simple in the Seattle scheme. So he always knew kind of where he had to be, where their weakness was. And he could get away with freelancing because he had 3 rockets up his ass in his prime of his career. Yeah. Like, he was the fastest guy in the field in a lot of games he played in the prime of his career, to where, if he was playing the middle safety position, he was supposed to, cheat this way, right? Let's say Julio Jones is over here and he's supposed to cheat this way. Earl Thomas in his prime, he might turn this way and make the quarterback think, oh, I'm going over here, but really kind of have his eyes and just waiting for the quarterback to make some move, and then he put his foot in the ground and fly over there like a missile. I mean, that's where he was great. But, just the way it went down, even the social media, I don't know if you saw the Instagram video that he put out, which first off, I would think is contract detrimental right there. You put practice film, they put practice film on his Instagram account. He's deleted it since, because I'm sure his agent was like, dude, you can't put that out there.
Yeah.
But even in the video, I don't know if you've really seen it, and it's hard to tell. He obviously has a breakdown playing middle of the field safety. Lets an inside post go where he should have been over the top probably to help that guy who's covering this inside post, deep crosser. He's underneath it, and then you want the safety to be over the top of it, and the quarterback won't throw it because he's going to go, man, I have to make that too perfect, or that's going to be an interception, or a bam, bam, ball pops in the air interception, right? Earl wasn't in the right place. To me, too, the reaction of Earl on the video, I mean, to turn around and yell, rips his own helmet off, throws it, and starts yelling at guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not cool leadership anywhere in football. Nowhere. I mean, that wouldn't go down anywhere, especially with a bunch of alpha male Baltimore Ravens guys. And then when you're the one in the wrong, that's going to really piss people off too. And we don't know this, but if he was in the wrong a lot already, a few times in camp and freelancing, like the reports we're hearing, that stings more to those players. They're like, what, you're showing me up? You've messed up 74 times in camp already, and no one's done that to you. And now here you messed up and you're going to show us up. That's just not going to go over. And, my last thing I'll say, just with defenses like this, because I got to be around it a little in Tampa Bay and with the Tennessee Titans even, but Tampa Bay especially, because they won the Super Bowl. It was Derek Brooks and Simeon Rice and Warren Sapp and Booger McFarland and Rondé Barber and John Lynch. None of them, even if Warren Sapp was a little bit of a pain in the ass, right, and not your, perfect Boy Scout, none of them held themselves higher than the rest of the defense. They all knew they were going to have to do their part. They all knew they were going to have to be accountable to each other. John Lynch knew if he messed up, Sapp and Simeon Rice and Derek Brooks were going to look at him and be like, what the f*** are you doing, dude? And if Warren Sapp didn't play his gap in the run game, John Lynch and Derek Brooks and Rondé Barber are going to be looking at Warren Sapp going, what the f***, that's your gap. And that's what a good defense does, and it just sounds like there was a little too much freelancing and they'd had enough of it.
That might speak to a lack of other leaders on the defense too, right? Where you had this other high-profile guys who could keep each other accountable.
Sure.
Maybe Earl Thomas thought he was the only one.
Maybe he
was
did
doing that, and that was his role to a certain extent.
Well, that's where you always, and it's a great question and a great point, and that's where you have to be careful about what kind, these type of players. You have to be careful about their attitude and how they get infused into your locker room, right? Yeah. And how, what kind of guy are they going to be here? Because you're right, there's no Terrell Suggs there anymore. Yeah. There's no Ray Lewis. So they don't have that guy that's maybe that, I've been here for 10 years and this is how we do things. And, so maybe there was a little bit of that, certainly. But to me, it also
and maybe they did hope that Earl Thomas could bring
yes,
some of that,
right.
some of that leadership.
But
he
obviously it didn't go the right way, and that's the issue. I had something else I wanted to say there, but I can't remember what it was.
You off. Well, I'll give you a second here.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry.
So Pete wants to know where he would be if you did a hypothetical wide receiver. Or, I'm sorry, a safety ranking.
Yeah. I mean, it's deep in the middle. Like, okay.
You're talking 15 to 20, maybe lower.
If we're just going to like 32 free safeties in football,
sure.
right?
Yep.
We're just doing that.
Yep.
I mean, yes, it's very much in the middle. Listen, I can go through teams here right now and just go, I could do whatever way you wanted to. I can sit here and go through the NFC East and go,
well,
I know you don't want it that way. But I'm going to say, here's the teams that I think can logically use him. All right, I'll split it out that way.
Okay.
Maybe the Jets. There's one spot there, then maybe, But the kid they traded for to get, Jamal Adams and the guy they got back from Seattle,
right.
He's pretty talented. He's faster and more explosive than Earl Thomas is at this point of his career. So it's not like it's a shoo-in, but the Jets, okay, maybe. Dolphins, all right? I'll throw them in there. They got nothing like a proven commodity as far as the safety position's considered. The Browns maybe makes sense. I'm not sure I'm totally sold on it. They do have some veteran guys there. They did draft Grant Delpit. They got Carl Joseph, who's basically like Earl Thomas, but 4 years ago, really fast that way. But they do play the Seattle scheme. Joe Woods is there. He just came from San Francisco. That could make sense, maybe.
You think that's important for him?
I think those Seattle scheme guys might look at him a little differently to just go man, he knows our defense. He'll get everybody in the right spot. I mean, gosh, he's one of the pioneers of this position for this defense, right? So I think there'll be a little bit of a love affair between those real Seattle scheme guys. They'd be like, oh, I can have Earl Thomas. I remember in 2014 when he was the best. You know what I mean? They'll get caught up with that. The Texans maybe have a spot. The Colts and Jaguars, I think you could argue there, and they both run the Seattle scheme, all right? So there's 3 teams of Seattle scheme. I go to the NFC. Could go Eagles, maybe. It's a maybe with the Eagles. Rodney McLeod is a better free safety than Earl Thomas. Now, not all teams have like that free safety, strong safety. Sometimes they just have 2 safeties and both guys do both, right? Philadelphia is a little that way to where it's like, okay, you could have 2 Earl Thomases in that defense or 2 Rodney McLeods.
Sure.
Lions, Bucs, I look at those 2 to go, all right, there's a lot of unproven commodities in those 2 secondaries to where I could see maybe a Matt Patricia going, man, I don't trust my young safeties or some of these guys that are in here. I need to get somebody in here that can learn all my defenses and do it all the right way. And then the Panthers and the Cardinals. I mean, after that, I don't see a whole lot of teams. And listen, like I said, I wrote Texans maybe. I wrote Browns maybe. I wrote maybe one spot with the Jets. I wrote Eagles maybe. So it's not as like...
He's just not an upgrade for enough teams.
No, it's not going to be an upgrade from enough teams. It is not. And like, again... I know this has been very negative on Earl Thomas. It doesn't make me. I know.
Here.
Well, it doesn't make me.
Have you ever
proud.
met him before?
Yeah.
Have you talked to him?
I have, but it doesn't make me proud to say this.
Did it go well when you talked to him?
It was okay. I mean, it was just a hi. How are you?
It will not go well next time.
Probably not.
If he's seen.
Probably not. I mean, but you know.
But it seems like that's not unusual for him and his interactions.
Well, and this isn't my end. I'm not unusual either. I mean, I just call it like I see on the football field. And am I wrong sometimes? Yeah, I am. I mean, as you know, but damn, I feel pretty good that I'm, pretty spot on with my evaluation.
He's got it's a huge red flag for him, for any team.
That's going to be an issue going forward.
It's a huge red flag now because you look at the culture in Baltimore and be like, man, that seems like a pretty good culture there.
Exactly.
And if you were an outlier there and the team kicked you off, and they didn't want you around, that's a problem. You hope that if you're the signing team that he's going to be able to learn from that, because that really hasn't happened to him before, although you said it kind of did with Seattle. They ran him out there.
Didn't go out in the best way. He didn't go out. He gave Pete Carroll the middle finger, remember, as he's going off the field.
And that's a problem.
And then also ran into the Dallas Cowboy locker room after his last game and told them to sign him after he was still on the Seattle Seahawks. Like, to me, those are not cool things. Those are things teams are going to look at now and put a little bit more into it, let alone, like you're talking about, teams are really going to look at this one right now and go, whoa, like Baltimore did this to him? Do we really want this guy? Right. And here's the point I wanted to make before that I got distracted with.
It's come back. Okay, good.
I was with a safety in a similar situation to Earl Thomas. I played with Brian Dawkins, right? Late in his career. He wasn't the Brian Dawkins of the Philadelphia Eagles and Wolverine and like, whoa, it's either him, Ed Reed, or Troy Polamalu are the best safeties in football, and like, that's it. There's no other conversation. He was still good, middle of the road-ish, like a Earl Thomas. But he came in and was a leader with positivity and goodness and never held himself like, I'm Brian Dawkins and I'm just going to do whatever the I want on this play because I'm going to the Hall of Fame, all you, right? He never did that. You know, there has to be that blend at some point in your career where you have to go, wait, I'm not, you know, I'm not the man anymore. I can't be showing up for meetings 3 minutes late. You know, that was okay when I was the man and, you know, I went out there and made 7 plays on Sunday that nobody else could make in football. Okay. But now I'm missing 7 normal plays every Sunday and not that guy. And that's just not cool. Like Derek Brooks, he wasn't the same Derek Brooks when I first got there as when I left. His play had gone down, and his attitude was a little different because of that. Because he knew, like, wait, I can't always be the guy, like, leading the charge and rah, 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 rah. I'm, you know, one of the bottom starters on our defense now. So I have to adjust my approach and how I talk to people. That's part of being a football player. It's part of, like, surviving in a locker room and being a leader and being diplomatic that way.
Trying to make a transition.
Exactly.
Which some players are able to do, I can imagine. And if you come in and you're Earl Thomas and you're thinking of your leadership role as being a guy that's going to get on top of other players and yell at them and I'm the man, or is your leadership role a part of being the guy that's going to bring up these other players and coach them along and pass the torch, if you will? It doesn't sound like Earl Thomas was there for the Ravens at all. But you don't think, last thing, you don't think their defense is going to drop off a cliff? You don't think it makes them that much worse?
I don't. You know, they're going to have to figure that out. They're going to miss some stuff with Earl Thomas as far as, you know, like we talked about, his ability to diagnose plays, his experience, some of the mental aspect, maybe his ability to disguise. But I'm just telling you, in a lot of big situations last year, you know, to me, more times than not, it looked like they were trying to hide Earl Thomas rather than going, we're going to put you in the spot to make the play, right? That's what the Jets do with Jamal Adams. Or like, they're going to go, we're going to put you right here because we think the ball's going to go right here and you'll make it happen. To me, it was more of like, we think the ball's going to go over here, so we're going to put you over here this year. And again, I don't feel cool saying this stuff, but that's just the facts of the matter to me.
If you see him in person next time,
he's going to whoop my ass.
Call me up. I want to be there. I want to be there in the room taking video.
Well, yeah. I don't think his agent already doesn't like me. I know that. His agent got mad at me last year because I said he wasn't a top 5 safety in football.
Oh, so that relationship.
I was supposed to do an interview with Dwayne Haskins, who's represented by that same agent, and he didn't. He took Dwayne Haskins' interview away from me.
Oh, really?
Right.
This is inside baseball. This is inside football right here.
I was right.
Okay, so Earl Thomas is out there. We'll see if anyone picks him up. Ready for the Ask Me Anything portion of the podcast here?
Do it.
All right, hit me with the sound. Oh, we don't have a sound.
Is that a good NBC sound?
Beat goes perfect. Okay, first one is from Max Boss Max. You ready for this one?
I like that.
Can you shout out my dad, Mike Purdon? He listens to every episode.
What up, Mike Purdon? I mean, good to hear. I'm glad you're listening, Dad.
Yeah.
Way to go, man. I mean, that's it. They don't say where they're from, anything like that.
That's
nothing.
it. That was just it. He just wanted, the only thing he wanted was a shout out for his dad.
What's up, Dad, Mike Purdon? And then your son has a pretty cool handle there. What was that?
Max Boss Max.
Max Boss Max. I like that.
Good.
Okay, I'd like to hear more about what Dad's favorite team is and those things. So please let us know that, Max Boss Max.
Okay, that's a future segment right there. We'll do learning more about Mike Purdon.
Learning more about stranger dads.
We'll do that. All right.
You guys have to hear about my dad all the time. I might as well hear about some of your dads.
All right, this one comes from 49ers with 4 S's who retweeted the question today. Very upset that we didn't answer it last time, which happens.
I know.
You know, we don't get to all of them all the time. Mostly because Pete doesn't give us the questions, you know, but that's the main reason. But we're getting it this time, so don't be mad at us. What did Belichick see in Jimmy G that made him want to move off of Brady for him? I understand age and system fit, but you've talked about his physical requirements to play for New England in the past, or the physical requirements to play for New England in the past. I know you don't love Jimmy G's physical tools, so why did Belichick love him. So what did Bill Belichick see in Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, well, I think there's still a lot to like, you know. I mean, yeah, I'm not putting Jimmy Garoppolo in that top 5, top 6, 7, 8 talented quarterbacks in football. No, I'm not. But this is still a guy that's pretty smart decision maker, extremely accurate over the middle of the field and intermediate passes, great with chaos around him and throwing the ball kind of off his back foot or, you know, in a little weird position and just flicking it out with his wrist and doing that. Has a very quick release that way. So, you know, I think those are the things I like, and those are probably the things New England saw too. You know, New England, again, they didn't draft him thinking like, whoa, let's just draft a guy so we can have a trade asset. They drafted him because that 2013 season, again, I got to remind everybody, Brady was not good. And I know a lot of people are going to go, well, they went to the AFC Championship game. I know. They're New England. And I wish I could bring back all the people in football at the time where I used to have people be, you know, when I watched the film, Tom's not really playing that good, right? He's not playing that good, is he, Chris? No, he's not. You're right. He hasn't really played well for 2 or 3 years now. They drafted Jimmy Garoppolo because they were concerned about Brady's play. That's why they drafted him in the second round. They didn't draft him in the second round and go, let's just let him sit here for 5 years and have him look cool. You know, Brady's play picked up in 2014. It lit a torch under his ass. They got off to a bad start. That was not on to Cincinnati
How did
here.
he do that? I don't know that you've ever talked about how he turned it around, because it did seem like this is the beginning of the end.
It did, definitely. I mean, no, I think 2 things. I think, one, he stopped worrying about being a politician of the game, where he was just worried about his numbers and like manipulating them. He just started to go, you know what, I'm going to play. I'm going to be dangerous. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to start throwing. And really, what I should say is that was 2, because first thing he did was fix some of his mechanics to lend himself to throw some of those more aggressive throws more effectively. As I've told you many times, and I was there in 2012, he was the worst down the field thrower in football. Not just by my assessment, the numbers, everything said it. That's all we worried about in practice. Oh, it was an incompletion? Great. Keep throwing it deep. Keep throwing. I mean, Bill used to say that to him every day that spring. Just needed to keep throwing it deep, Tom. Keep being aggressive. They knew he could throw it 4 yards over the middle of the Wes Welker. So, yeah, I think when he fixed up his mechanics.
What did he do? Was that a personal coach that he worked with? Or
yeah, I think he did Tom House, and, you know, he really got back to a little bit more of what he was at the start of his career. When 2009, 10, 11, 12 came around, they got so into that short passing game, his motion got really up high because he was worried about, let me get it over the line of scrimmage. Let me just get it to Wes so he can see the ball out of my hand and he can catch it, and then he'll dance upfield for a few extra yards. Yeah. Well, teams started to catch on to all that stuff too. And then it just became so hard for New England to always figure out a new way to get a 5 or 6 yard completion, to where they started to go, man, we can't do this anymore. We got to like open the field up. And Brady finally, I think, just said F it too and started letting it loose, and it changed things forever. And it helped them this second dynasty run they went on.
Even after that transformation, though, it still seemed like Bill Belichick wanted to move on to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I think there was, I think, you know.
It might have been the idea that Jimmy was coming, and still, even though Tom had made these improvements, that he was going to eventually fall.
Exactly, and I think that's what it was. He's sitting there just going, wait, I like Garoppolo, I like Brady. I mean, it's got to be ending for Brady here soon, and we got a second-round quarterback that we all like, so, you know, maybe. And Brady obviously was like, no, it's not ending. I want to keep playing. Mr. Kraft, come down here, please. I'd like to keep playing. Can you get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo? Yeah. And then that's what happened. And then he realized he was going to have to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, and he called up Kyle Shanahan, and the rest is history.
Still one of my favorite stories and anecdotes, and I think it's true, right, is that John Lynch, when talking to Bill Belichick about trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, they're like, no, we don't want to do it. They're like, all right, well, we'll take Tom Brady then.
Yeah.
Like, give us one of them.
Right.
You don't need both of them for, for the future. They eventually did get Jimmy Garoppolo.
But that's how that came about. Because that's what we're answering, right? Well,
yes.
So, yeah, I don't think it was
that Bill Belichick likes something more than maybe other people do about Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't think that's the case necessarily?
No, I don't. I think they were impressed with Garoppolo. They thought that he certainly was capable of being that next guy after Brady. It didn't work out. Brady was still playing at a high level. And, you know, they had to make a move to help their team, which was at that time trade Jimmy Garoppolo.
And it's almost like they want the opportunity to prove that they can win without a great elite quarterback, the Jarrett Stidham. It's like we can win with Jarrett Stidham.
Same idea. Yes, again, as awesome as Tom Brady is, nothing is better to me than Bill Belichick as the head coach and that culture he set there. And, I'm sure they want to show that. Their system, their culture, their day-to-day attack, their attention to detail, their creativity, all of that, their ability to grind and compete. It's nobody messes with them. Nobody with them. Nobody.
Yeah.
And I really mean that. I would be shocked if they don't have success with Cam. I really would. I mean, they, as you know, they went 11-5 with Matt Castle.
So that leads us to O'Connell Dara.
Who
asks, "Hey Chris.
Hey.
What would you say is the worst case scenario for the Pats next year? How badly could the Cam experiment go?" So you just said you think it will go well.
Yeah.
But let's go worst case scenario.
Man.
No injury. We'll say everyone's healthy.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Everyone's
obviously,
healthy.
injury goes on, and anything could be a disaster. I can't imagine the worst case being anything horrific. Like I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, they could end up going 5-11 if it goes bad, or 6-10. No.
9-7.
Yeah, 8-8, 9-7. Cam has some weeks where we go, man, it's awesome, he's got it, and then we have other weeks where we go, ooh. Yep, he doesn't understand this system, and they can't make any plays on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
But I would be shocked with that. So smart. The defense is still really freaking good. He's going to add to the strength of the running game because of his ability to keep the ball and do certain things too. It's going to make their rest of their running game better. And, I just would be shocked if they don't formulate the correct plan around the guy.
Former coach with the Patriots, now with the New York Giants. That is Joe Judge.
Joey Judge.
Were you there with him?
I was.
In 2012?
Yeah.
What was he like? He's only 38 now.
I know.
So
yeah, we were both
the
so-called at the time. He was a special teams was the offensive. And
if you just would have stuck around, you could have been the head coach of the Giants.
That's all I had to do. Joe is unbelievable energy. I think that's the first thing I would talk about.
Yeah.
He's a really straight shooter, got a great way about him and communicating and everything like that. And, is I think a guy who can replicate that crazy energy in a good way on a day-to-day basis. Like, it's pretty unbelievable that way. I think it's the first thing that jumps out to me.
So it comes from Patrick Ermlich,
yeah,
who says, will Joe Judge surprise people this year with how the team performs?
I'm going to say yes. I am. Again, Joe Judge, yes, he's not an offense or defensive coordinator. But between being in New England and Alabama, he understands the way an organization is supposed to be run. He understands what a complementary game plan means to win and put your team in the best position on a weekly basis. And then the biggest thing is, he's got a stable offensive coordinator in Jason Garrett, who I think is better offensive mind than people give him credit for. I think the Giants are going to be a sneaky better offensive team than people realize. At least that would be my assessment. And I think on defense, with Patrick Graham, who was also in New England with me and just came from Miami, yeah, they're going to run that Flores-Belichick scheme, and they're going to be well coached and know what they do. Yes, I think they're going to be a pain in the butt. Am I going playoffs, 9-7, 10-6? I don't know. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah. But could I see a 7-9 or maybe a 6-10, but really close in a bunch of games and exciting to watch? I think that's kind of what I expect from the New York Giants.
Fumbles from Daniel Jones.
I hope not.
Ruins it for him.
I hope not. People love to talk about that.
So he's making everyone run, right? That's a big story out of camp right now. First day they had the assistant coaches, which the assistant coaches on the team are crazy, right? I mean, you got Jason Garrett, you got Brett Bielema, you got Freddie Kitchens, and so they're out there running laps.
The great soldiers right there, the people you just mentioned. They're great soldiers. They're going to buy into what Joe Judge is selling, and they're not going to oh man, he made me run to the goalpost and back. Now I'm going to him to my position group.
I mean, there's no other team in football, NFL, that's doing that.
Well,
right?
New England probably.
You think?
Yeah, probably not running the coaches as much anymore or doing anything like that.
That happened
maybe occasionally.
in 2012?
Yeah, occasionally. Yeah,
really?
I mean, if things are going bad, I mean, that's just the New England way. It's just there's no nonsense.
He would just tell the assistant coach, go run.
It's Belichick. It's the Parcells way. It's Tom Coughlin. It's all a part of this same school of, you messed up. We're going to hold you accountable. Go run. Okay.
Did you run? You never
I'm
messed
trying to
up.
think if I ever did run. I feel like we had a run one time, like the whole offensive staff. Like it was just a bad practice, and I think we all had to like go run around the goalpost and back. But yeah,
Bill Belichick can pull that off. Can 38-year-old Joe Judge pull that off?
I'll say what I said to Mike Florio last week. It's certainly dicey, right? You're going to piss some people off, especially in the middle of a hard training camp, and like guys are going like, "Damn, I'm tired already," and now you're going to make me get more tired and then go take reps, which will make you focus more because you just go, shit, I don't want to have to go run again because that was tiring, right?
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. But yeah, it's going to be about his ability to communicate properly with the players and the coaches throughout this. Yeah, you could be the dictator and, bang the gavel every now and then and do all that. But if you don't show an open side to the players and a humane side, it's going to fall on deaf ears to where they're going to be a little bit like, this guy doesn't give a shit about us. He's too much of a drill sergeant, and they'll start to tune him out.
Well,
you don't
people
want that.
are really good at determining what's a facade and what's not. Like, is he doing this because he really feels like it'll make me a better football player, to make me a better coach? Or is he doing this because he wants to look tough and cool in his first year? And
I think it'll come
off
off real. I do.
Good.
I do. We'll see, but I do. I think it's naturally in him to be that way. And there's really not a fakeness about him anyways. I know you've never met him, but I think he's one of those guys, if you met him, whatever you think about him as a football coach, you'd be like, oh, damn, he's a good guy. He can communicate.
Yeah.
You could tell he cares about people, and he's smart. And
that's what it comes down to. Does he care about me? Does he care about me not only as a football player, but is he trying to make me better just overall? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
as a better human being.
Better human,
Yes.
better football player. Does he care?
Goes a long way when you show a player you care about them a little bit. How's your wife? How's your kids? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah.
And you genuinely care. You're not doing it to try to show that you. It's like, I do.
Yeah.
We're all in this thing together. We might as well all get along.
Yeah, he wondered if you've watched more than 3 movies before. I told him no, you're an asshole.
It is like I could tell that from watching. Let's go Seattle's offense. Right? We talked about the Seattle scheme, which we hit the quota. We have to do that every pod. I'm keeping
Seattle
track.
scheme.
Seattle scheme. I'm like, okay, we got it in. It's like it's a sponsor at this point. Sponsored by the Seattle scheme. This one is from Ellie Pong.
Right.
It says, which quarterbacks could you put in Seattle's offense and have them be successful?
Oh, good question.
So we've said that Russell Wilson is Herculean in his efforts a lot of times to make that offense look good, especially late in games when all they can do is throw the ball, and he pulls it off somehow.
Yeah, well, there's no schematical advantages for that offense. He doesn't get to throw to like Alvin Kamara coming out of the backfield, who Sean Payton gets open 6 times a game for easy 7-yard completions. Yeah. And I know people are going to go, oh, he's taking a shot at, Drew Brees. And I'm just trying to. I know
it was a little bit of a
shot. My point is, but there's that aspect of their offense does not exist.
Right.
Brian Schottenheimer doesn't do that stuff. As you've heard me say many times, there's only a few offenses in football that really know how to use the slot receiver and really creatively get them open, consistently. So Seattle, no, they rely more on, we're going to beat you up in the run game, and then we're going to take some shots and be aggressive in the pass game, and our quarterback's going to make some plays because that's what he does. So yeah, some of the system guys out there, they're not going to be able to pull that off. They're not. Mahomes, of course, is going to be able to pull that off. Deshaun Watson's going to be able to pull that off. Josh Allen's going to be able to pull that off. Really, Ryan Tannehill at this point of his career, yes, is going to pull that off too.
So you need an athletic quarterback,
right?
Who can freewheel it
and has a pretty big arm,
throw it downfield,
and is going to be able to throw the ball down. Exactly right. So that's the way to explain it. Okay. Exactly. So like Derek Carr, I'm not sure he can do that. He has the physical ability to do it. He just won't cut it loose and let some of those balls go. He can do it. But it just, but yeah, Breeze, no. Phillip Rivers, maybe to a degree. I don't know if he can do it consistently as effectively as some of these other guys, But yeah, that's the big thing. It takes that type of quarterback, a quarterback with special physical ability.
Now here's a point from Czech West C71 that says, please remember in your critique of the Seattle offense that the team is 57-0 in regular season games when leading by just 4 points at halftime. I will take wins over yards any day of the week.
The
offense is good with a lead, at least.
Yeah, I'm not shocked. That's kind of the style of football in which they play. Yeah. My point to that would be the way that offense plays, and you're talking about these 4-point leads, and I would go, if your offense was a little more aggressive, you would win some of those games by 21 points, and you wouldn't be sweating it out late in the fourth quarter going, oh, I hope we can hold them to a field goal or we're going to lose this one.
Yeah.
That's what they do too much. That's where, they, to me, almost hurt their team at times. It's just because of that style of play in which they play. Or it's good for them too, and they've been able to get away with it for a lot of years because their defense was great. But just another thing I was thinking about there too is, okay, but how many times did they go in at halftime down 3 or 4 points where I want to go, if they just let it loose a little bit, they'd be up by 2 touchdowns.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a good stat, but
they were carried by their defense for sure.
For a while.
With their best teams. And here's a question about defenses coming up here in September from Justin Sandhu, who says, do you think defenses will have an early advantage in the season due to no preseason?
This is a great question. I've really been debating this a lot lately. I don't. This is where I think defenses will have an advantage. I think that if the defensive lines might be able to dominate. Offensive linemen and offensive lines as a unit usually take a little bit to get their feet underneath them as far as, playing live football.
And they'll have none.
They'll have none. And then they're going to have these fresh D linemen who are not beat up and foaming at the mouth and finally like, holy shit, I can hit the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I can, don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And I can just go pedal to the metal. I don't have to go 80% because I'm saving myself for the next day at training camp or, I'm not trying to hurt the guy in front of me, whatever that is. So that's where I go, I think we could see the dominant defensive lines, really dominate early on. But I also worry about the secondaries. Secondaries to me, the thing they're going to miss is, live game reps in the preseason and all that, but because of the limited amount of time, some of the in-depth things you would do as a defense that you've already checked off the list in OTAs, right? They're having to start them or just getting into them now instead of being 5 weeks down the roads on some of their stuff. So, maybe a defense, let's just say New England, oh man, when they motion to trips over to the right side, in week 10 last year, they might have gone oh, hey, X call, and that mean they were going to switch to some certain coverage because they like to get in this coverage versus that personnel set and that formation where they might not be there early in the year. And they might just go, whoa, let's just keep it basic. Cover 2, everybody. Yeah. Cover 2. And that, to me, is going to lead maybe to some big offensive passing numbers like the strike year. I mean, the last time we had the CBA, and I don't know, Pete, if you're listening, how many quarterbacks did we that year have 5,000-yard passers? I believe Stafford threw for 5. I believe Breeze threw for 5. I threw Rodgers threw for 5. I think we had 4 quarterbacks in that year with no offseason throw for 5,000 yards. So that's where – did I answer that? I kind of answered both.
And I think, too, we talked about this before, is that the fact that there are no fans in the stands, the fact that it's going to be quiet.
Yeah.
It's going to be quiet in all these stadiums. That could help the defense communicate better than they ever have been in being able to do in the past.
I agree. They're going to be more in their comfort zone. I mean, you're right. Quarterback's going to be able to, not have to worry about messing with the snap count or crowd noise or signals. Did this guy get this and that? So, it seems like the offense would have the advantage except for that offensive line aspect.
I thought the defense. I was thinking
the defense. Oh, you mean the defense?
I would think, right? You go, hey, you're communicating mid-play. Hey, you got this guy. You're able to yell over to the cornerback over on the side of the field.
Make adjustments that way. Maybe get off the snap quicker. You're right about that. You're right. I also just think about the offenses being able to communicate a lot more at the line of scrimmage too. Pre-snap and do stuff like that. So that stuff. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. That's going to be really interesting to see. But I think the receivers and the quarterbacks on the passing game have the advantage over the DBs. And what I guess I'm saying is that I think the defensive linemen have the advantage over the offensive linemen.
Just with the fact of no preseason games, haven't had that work together. And yes. This one, you talked about passing yards.
And the 5,000-yard passers were Breeze, Brady, Stafford, and Eli had 4,900 yards. Pete just told me that in my ear.
That's true?
Yeah. So it was three 5,000 yards.
3 of them, okay.
One was close.
So we had one last year, one 5,000-yard passer. Jameis Winston.
Oh, baby.
This one comes from William Spencer. says, can you give us the 2020 league leaders in passing yards, receiving yards, and rushing yards? So I looked at it.
Ooh.
So see if you can agree, and I'll give you some time to,
Okay, good.
to
Thank
look
you.
at the numbers here. So last year passing, Winston was one,
Right.
5,109 yards. Dak was second, 4,902. Of course, Patrick Mahomes was hurt a bit last year.
What's funny is if you look at like the top passers, right?
Yep.
Jameis, Prescott, Goff,
Goff,
Rivers, Matt Ryan, none of them went to the playoffs, right? None of them. Just kind of shows you it's like, hey, they were behind in a lot of games,
It's
probably
true.
had to throw the ball, got a lot of garbage yards, pass-wise that way.
Right, that's true.
It wasn't until 6 Russell Wilson until we had a playoff quarterback.
That's true. And Mahomes was 10th. He had 4,000, but he missed 2 games.
You missed 2, yeah.
But he's not going to get
2.5, really.
1,100 yards in 2 games.
Right.
Or in 2.5 games. I am going with Matt Ryan.
Ooh.
Because I think, like you said, they might be borderline playoff. They might
Sure.
not be a playoff team. Could be throwing the ball a lot down. Got Gurley now, pass catcher out of the backfield.
Right.
Kelvin Ridley, step forward. Julio
Definitely.
Jones, still a beast.
They
I
got
would go
Hayden
with
Hurst from
Hayden
Baltimore.
Hurst.
Yep.
Not much of a running game.
I'm not mad at you there.
I'm going to go Matt Ryan.
Okay, I like that.
Who would you go with? Patrick?
It's hard. The 2 names that come to my mind right away are Patrick, yes. I just think, you've heard me say it. I just think them winning, his contract being done, pressure's off, I think they're going to thrive. And then now you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire to add to it. I immediately, and I'm going to pick Dak Prescott too. Those would be the 2 guys that first jumped out to me because also weapons at their disposal, like we talked about, receivers, quarterbacks have advantage over DBs.
Yeah.
Really good offensive lines. To where, like, I look at some of those, like Dallas, that's the type of offensive line where I go, yeah, they might not be used to real gameplay, but they're so damn good that they'll be better than most in week 1 because they're just that good of an offensive line.
I thought maybe they'd want to try to establish more of a running game.
Maybe. It's just, damn, they got CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup
Yeah.
and Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see where that goes. But those are the 2 that jump to my brain right away. Matt Ryan's a good one, though. I'm not mad at you there.
Pete's throwing another name out there.
Kyler Murray's probably going to get into this
Kyler
conversation.
Murray, it's not the name Pete said, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
Pete is throwing out Matthew Stafford.
Oh, I think that's a pretty good one, too. I think the only thing that holds him back there is just Matt Patricia and wanting to be a little bit more balanced and Darrell Bevel and let's run the ball and
Drafting Swift.
drafting Swift with Kerryon Johnson. He's been very much into the offensive line ever since he got there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be that wouldn't be shocking either.
You wouldn't be mad about that one either.
But I'm going to go Mahomes.
You're going to go Mahomes.
I
okay.
am. I think Mahomes is this is going to be like,
Light it up. And
I think this is going to be Aaron Rodgers like 2011. Now, they lost in the divisional playoff game, but the year after he won the Super Bowl, he just was unstoppable.
Yeah.
I wish we could all go back and I could show you games. I want to say he threw for 45 touchdowns, maybe 8 interceptions, something like that. I just think it's going to lend itself to that, where Mahomes is going to go, there's nothing I can't conquer. I'm the man. I'm the best player in the game, and he's going to thrive in that. So I'm going to go him with that.
Okay, so Mahomes, I'm going with Matt Ryan.
Okay.
Receiving.
Write this down on your little tablet over there, okay?
Am I with my pen? Okay, hold on, I got it. Receiving.
Yes.
So this was
Yards
a
or
landslide.
receptions?
I think either way. Yards. Pete says yards. Last year it was a landslide. Michael Thomas, 1,700 yards. Second was Julio with 1,300. Chris Godwin, Travis Kelce, Devontae Parker, Keenan Allen after that. My dark horse here, just like we mentioned with Matthew Stafford throwing the ball a lot, my dark horse is Kenny Galladay.
Ooh.
He's a dark horse for me.
Yeah.
But I don't see any way, barring injury, that Michael Thomas does not lead the NFL.
I mean, receptions for sure. I mean, no doubt about it. It's just
yeah. He had 149 receptions last year. The second most
was what?
was it
104?
McCaffrey with
116.
116, and then DeAndre Hopkins with 104.
Holy.
So
yeah.
you get receptions, no doubt, but you think yards is up for grabs.
I'd be shocked if he got up to 150 again. I mean, I really would be.
For receptions.
Yes.
Okay.
But the big thing is who's going to be that other yards guy that can really challenge him that way? Your guy Galladay is definitely in that conversation. You know, I think about Amari Cooper, but I feel like other guys that are going to take away from, you know, his production.
Yeah.
I think if I had to go with one other dark horse here, I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to get a whole lot of catches in the Cardinals. I mean, a whole lot. I would think they're going to get off on trying to justify the trade for him.
Yeah.
I would think they're going to probably pay him soon, which is going to also want to make them justify that.
You and I both think Kyler's going to have a huge year.
I do. I think Kyler is going to have a huge year. So he would be the guy that I would say that jumps out to me more than any to go, ooh, watch out for him. He might be able to challenge a Michael Thomas. Maybe not necessarily in receptions, but yards.
So go with him.
All right, I will.
You're going to pick him.
I'll go with D-Hop.
D. Hopkins. All right. I just tricked you into going with someone other than Michael Thomas. Oh, no. Okay.
Uh-oh. Look what you did to me.
Okay, and finally rushing. This one, it was Derrick Henry last year leading the NFL, 1,540 yards. Nick Chubb was second, 1,494. Then you had McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Carson after that, Lamar Jackson. I kind of wanted to go Lamar Jackson for some reason. I was like, that'd be kind of, because he was only, 300 yards off the leader last year?
It wasn't far.
I was like, that'd be kind of a cool pick. But I am not going to do that. I'm going to go with the guy that missed 3 games last year.
Okay.
I'm saying he'll play all 16 this year.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley.
I
know you like him.
I do like him.
Is that a safe pick? Was that a boring pick?
No, I don't think that's a boring. I don't think how could people call that a boring pick? I mean, you know, one, it's a lot of question marks on that offense. Mm-hmm. They just rebuilt their offensive line.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go with him with you. I mean, that's the guy I'm rooting for. I like him a lot. The one I do think that we all sleep on, of course, is Nick Chubb. I do.
Yeah.
I think Nick Chubb, and then you talk about...
Wait, that's a new offense, too. You don't quite know how they'll utilize him.
Well, and they're going to the Minnesota offense, which we know is run first. And then you have two guys to worry about on the outside. And they got Austin Hooper as a good tight end. And they drafted a tackle in the top 10.
That's
and
true.
They signed Jack Conklin at right tackle with big money at right, in free agency. So
that's a good one.
I think I've just talked myself into Nick Chubb.
Yes.
You go with Barkley, I'll go with Chubb.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good.
You like Saquads, I like the Chubster.
And we've turned off injuries in the NFL, like in Madden.
Oh, yeah,
like you can do. You turn them off.
Yes.
And so that we'll get a true competition here
to
see who is right.
Are we missing anybody else there? I mean, any of the rookies?
I mean, we both didn't think Derrick Henry was going to do it again.
Ooh, yeah.
Derrick
Henry I'm always putting it because they're going to feature him. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I just don't think he might lead the NFL in receiving out of the backfield.
Not more than Christian McCaffrey.
But not that much. You're right.
Yeah.
He'll probably be third behind him, Kamara, and then him.
Sure.
I'd say watch out for Josh Jacobs too. That would be another guy I'd throw on everybody's radar. Josh Jacobs with that offensive line. Gruden's going to run the football, and then even for total yards aspect, as I've said here before many times. I mean, Gruden, he told me right to my face at the combine, Josh Jacobs is going to get more catches in the pass game this year.
Yeah, and he had just rushing yards last year. Josh Jacobs had 1,150 in 13 games.
Yeah.
So missed 3 games.
He's a stud.
Still was close. All right, so that's cool. But we're down. We have made our predictions, and here's another predictions one. 2020 playoff teams. This run from Injim Chow, who's a regular contributor to the mailbag here to the Ask Me Anything. What are some teams that didn't make the playoffs last year but have a good chance of making it this year?
Okay.
You see this every year, right?
Yep.
How many teams is it usually on average?
I think it's like 4.
4 teams.
5 to 6.
Pieces, 5 or 6.
There you go. So 5 to 6 new teams almost every year. Okay.
Expanded playoffs, too. I mean, you got more teams that are...
Pittsburgh Steelers, they got to be one of those, right?
Let me try to get in your brain.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say Pittsburgh first.
I like the
Chargers. It's weird in here. You seem to be affected by something. I like the Chargers.
Yes.
So I'm going to say Chargers.
Okay. I think let's just make a list of the teams we think that could be that team. So Chargers for sure. I'm with you. They're on that list.
5-11 last year, but I think they got the talent.
Definitely.
Tyrod's going to be awesome. I'm rooting for Tyrod this year.
Good.
Pittsburgh for sure. That defense is awesome. Big Ben healthy. Get him back in there.
I agree. Those are 2 that I have on my short list. What about the Colts? You going to throw them in there?
I was going to say Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers, 7-9 last year without him.
Definitely.
More consistent quarterback play. You got the running back, Jonathan Taylor, there to help out.
Exactly.
I like them.
What about Browns? You going to put Browns in the AFC in that conversation?
No.
No. Okay.
Because if Pittsburgh's better, and if Baltimore's still good,
right?
No. I think you got to leave someone out. Although they might be able to squeak in at 8-8 or something.
Wait, it is
like
a weird
that.
year. We got the seven playoff spots this
playoff
year.
team, so that might put
just
them
for
in.
the sake of the exercise, I would put the Browns in there for right now.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So Chargers, Pittsburgh, Colts, Browns. There's one more team in the AFC I'm going to put in that category.
So you're going to put Denver in there.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right. It's those 5 teams I look at to go, ooh, they are teams in the AFC that jump out to me that I think could replace some of the playoff teams that we saw from last year. NFC.
I'm going to go Dallas for you.
Okay. Yep.
Is that one?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to go, Tampa Bay.
Yes, I am. I'm going to, of course, say Tampa Bay. Yes.
And
Okay.
Rams?
I know. You look at the Bears, the Rams, and the Falcons, I feel like they could all be in that conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not to say that I think they're all, but I think they're all qualified to be in that, whoa, we have the capability, the roster. For the most part, most of these teams got the quarterback that I think is capable of bringing their team to the playoffs. So, I don't know. I've got 10 teams on my list right now. But if I had to narrow it down to the 2 or 3 that I really think will be different this year. Dallas, I'm putting in there. Too much talent.
Yep.
I think McCarthy is going to make that team tough. He's an Army sergeant, and I think he'll have them ready to go. So I'm going to put Dallas as one of them. Pittsburgh, I'm with you there. I mean, it's Big Ben, and it's a Super Bowl defense.
Makes sense.
And I think the Colts would probably be the team I would look at next.
Okay.
So that would probably be my top 3 right there.
Okay.
I mean, I like the Chargers, like you said. I guess I'm a little, I want to see the offensive line and Tyrod a little bit.
So who's vulnerable there then? You think Houston's vulnerable? Tennessee's vulnerable?
I do think Houston's vulnerable. Yes, I think there's a lot of pressure on Deshaun Watson. I mean, to me right now, it looks like Houston's going, we're just going to, Deshaun and our receivers and David Johnson, we're just going to outscore you.
Yeah.
So I look at that as being vulnerable. Hey, New England, they are New England, but we got to see what they are first.
Yeah. And Buffalo, really, both those teams.
Definitely, sure. Even Tennessee. I'm not going to sit here and I expect them to be in the playoffs, but let's not forget, they were 9-7 last year. It wasn't like they just ran away and were like some slam dunk in the AFC.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Minnesota.
Don't give away too much because we want to go through.
We're going to do our divisions and stuff.
We are going to do that.
Minnesota is certainly the team that I look at in the NFC to go, if you made me pick one of the 6 teams that were in the playoffs last year and you made me pick one to say they're not going to be in it this year, Minnesota's hands down that team for me in the NFC.
Yep.
All right.
Philadelphia? No.
Maybe. I don't know about that.
Okay. Well, we're going to get to your
We're
picks,
gonna pick division winners and all that here at some point, I would think.
Yep. And I didn't do it last year.
Yeah.
I think I might do it this year.
Good. It's about time you did something around here.
All right. Here is, we're going to go back in time. One thing I can't do is history because I don't remember stuff. I have a really hard time remembering things that happened more than a year or 2 ago.
Wow. I have a good memory.
You have an unbelievable memory.
Smart,
you were doing the interview with Derwin James, and he said, you were like, what's your favorite play you've ever...
Like how I knew that right away?
And you knew it. You knew the play. You're like, oh, yeah, Big Ben throwing it over the top, right? Wasn't that the play?
Right. Yeah, my recall's pretty strong. I have a little of that Sean McVay-ness in me.
And he didn't... You're right. You do have. You're very similar in that.
Yeah.
And Derwin James didn't appreciate it enough. I don't think. He didn't realize how crazy that was that you...
You're right. You're right.
He was just like, yeah, that's the play.
Yeah, that's the play. You're right. And I'm like, hey, have some credit for the guy who watched 9 million games last year. And I picked it out.
You live your life, so of course you know the play. Me, I just... it was incredible. We're going back to early 2000s.
Uh-oh.
This one from Bradley Clem 3.
Uh-oh.
Said, better defense, 2000 Ravens or 2002 Bucs.
Oh.
So you got all these names. You got Derek Brooks versus Ray Lewis. You got Peter Boulware versus Simeon Rice. Sam Adams. Tony Siragusa versus Warren Sapp. You got Chris McAllister versus Rondé Barber. Rod Woodson versus John Lynch.
Oh, my gosh. It's insane. the two great defenses of their time, really. I think I would probably go with the Ravens if you just made me pick.
Really?
I would. I know that's not going to get. I'm having a lot of. This is the Friends podcast. You guys are trying to ruin every friendship I've ever had here.
When you go back to your reunion tour with the Bucs, you're gonna have to tell them that.
Well, the thing I think that's crazy to me, I think what I would talk about with the Bucs, that 2002 team that won the Super Bowl, of course, awesome special defense. I don't think that was their best defense within that 6 or 7 year span. They were better some previous years. They just didn't have an offense that could help them out. I mean, they almost beat the greatest show on turf. What were they winning by at that point of that game? Like 10-6 or 10-5? I mean, they had to win games like that whenever they played a really quality football team. It was like, well, the Bucs defense. But that Ravens team won the Super Bowl at their peak greatness, I guess, is what I would say. And the Tampa team had John Gruden and Brad Johnson and Keyshawn and Michael Pittman,
right.
And the Ravens team. Not to sit here like Trent Dilfer, Shannon Sharp at the end of his career, but there's not a lot of names on there. Nor was the system known to be anything like the John Gruden system was at that time either. Yeah. They were literally running the ball with no. You, Ray Lewis and company are going to shut you out, and you'll be lucky if you get 6. We know if we get 9, we're going to win the game.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is crazy. So I got to go with the 2000 Ravens.
Pete notes that in 2000, the Defensive Player of the Year was Ray Lewis. 2002,
it was Derek Brooks. Yeah, right.
It kind of leads in, you're just talking about the Super Bowl teams, into Spud Austin 83. Are you blowing up?
I just had to make sure there. Okay, I got it.
You got so many things going on. You got a show that is now partly on Peacock.
Yes.
And also on NBCSN.
Yes.
You got a podcast that's on wherever you get your podcasts. And YouTube. You're on Instagram. You're on Twitter. You do none of it yourself, but you're everywhere.
Thank you.
So here is Spud Austin 83. Hi, Chris and Ahmed. Love the podcast here in Northern Ireland. So there we go. We automatically read your question. Playoff football can lead to not always having the best team winning. Over the last 20 years, who has been the worst team to win the Super Bowl? What is your worst Super Bowl winning team?
Well, first off,
since the year 2000?
That is a great, truly a great thing. Hold on. Let's pull up Super Bowl winners.
So this happens in football. Whenever you have a tournament style, right? I always would argue this with my friends, because I would say the BCS, remember that with college football, as terrible as it was, and you had the points here, I was like, that gives you a truer champion, because at least you're going to have two of the top 3 or 4 teams in college football. They're going to win the championship. Where if you throw 16 teams into a tournament, you could get the 8th best team winning your championship that year.
No doubt. I mean, You're right. The best team does not always win it in the National Football League.
Not even the top 5 best teams,
sometimes,
right?
every now and then, sometimes the top 2 teams aren't even in the finals. Now, it doesn't happen as much as it used to.
Although it could happen more now that only one team gets the bye.
I think you're definitely going to see more of that. Definitely. To where some of the higher seeds now, they don't have that advantage. And so we want to know about the worst team.
Worst Super Bowl winning team since the year 2000.
Okay. That is a really good one. All right. So, hold on. I'm almost there.
Automatically, I kind of thought of the Giants, even though what they did was amazing in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
They weren't great.
There wasn't a great team. You're right. 2007 or 11 kind of have that same type of thing.
Pete throws one in here.
Which was he saying?
The 2008 Steelers.
Steelers, yeah. I was almost going to say the 2006 Steelers you could throw in there too, because Big Ben was still young and they didn't have a great offense. The 2008 Steelers. Now that offense was, the pass game was potent, and the defense was pretty damn good though. I mean, with Harrison and. Hold on, I'm almost there. I'm just checking this out here, checking it out.
Any of the New England teams?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think the New England team that lost to the Seattle Seahawks was better than that Seattle Seahawks team, but they were on that day, and they won that game. All right. I think if you're making me pick one.
Making you pick one.
I think I would probably go with that 2006 Steelers team. Damn. I think I would. Oh, 2005. Sorry. Yes, 2005.
Which won in 2006.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl in 2006, but that 2005 Steelers against the Seahawks.
21-10.
Right.
In Detroit.
Right. Big Ben. Bad calls by the ref. The Seahawks had some bad drops that day. I mean, Matt Hasselbeck played such a good game, and his team kind of let him down, let alone some questionable referee calls and things like that. Plus that Pittsburgh offense and Big Ben, they struggled throwing the football. I mean, what did Big Ben? I think he threw for like 40-something yards in the game. I mean, it's it's the worst quarterback rating in like the history of the Super Bowl to win a game.
He had a 22.6 passer rating.
Right, it was something like that. So, to me, they were handicapped on that side of the ball. I mean, if you remember how they scored one of their touchdown passes, it was in Detroit, your home city there.
I don't remember.
They ran the reverse pass. Hines Ward caught a pass from Antoine Randall L. Remember that?
Okay.
Or was it the other way around?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Well, if you can't remember.
Yeah.
No, it was that. Pete says you were right. Pete
Okay.
shares your ability to remember things.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty good, too. But, yeah, I think that's
Steelers,
the one.
2005 Steelers, who won Super Bowl XL.
One Super Bowl XL. And to the point, let's see, 05, okay, they were there. I was going to say the 08 football team that Steelers won that year. Yeah, I would sit there that year and tell you they were not the best team in football. They weren't even the best team in the AFC. I was on that Tennessee Titans team that had beat them in Week 15 for home field advantage, but we blew it against the Ravens in the divisional round.
Yeah. Okay, let's end it there.
Okay.
And let's move on. We want to get to your fake NFL team, fill out the offense here. We want to do that. But before we get there, let's do the obvious movie trivia.
Oh, I can't wait.
Very quickly. So,
Fredo, you're dead to me. What movie is that from?
Godfather?
Yes.
Yes. I watched that this year.
Is that the first one or the second one?
I don't know. I've only watched one of them. Okay, so Pete had them blacked out, so I could not see these beforehand.
Okay.
I am reading them now. Let's go through them rapid fire style.
I was going to say, can you let me read them? But I don't want to touch your computer.
Do you want to read it? You can read them.
I don't even have this document that you're in.
That's why I suggested I should read it. Okay, here it is. Podtastical gave us two of them here. Who played Kaiser Sose in The Usual Suspects? This one I know.
You do?
Because Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
Because
have you seen the movie?
I have.
Okay.
I've seen it a couple of times. One of the rare movies I've seen. I know that because Kevin Spacey ruined Kevin Spacey for me. I really enjoyed him as an actor, and
then
ruined
his recent life
Correct.
developments have ruined it.
He ruined himself for me.
I agree.
I'm very mad at him.
He ruined thyself for thyself. So yeah, okay, good for you.
I got one for one.
It pisses me off that you watch the movie more than once. So I mean, all these movies that you haven't seen in the world, you watch that one twice.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know
I saw
either.
it one time, and then I think a friend was watching it. I was like, I'll watch it again. Because it's kind of cool.
You can't see the answers on here. Can you see the answers, or you just see the quotes?
I just see the question.
Okay, good.
And I'm reading them all for the first time.
Good.
Name the Will Ferrell character that went streaking after a Snoop Dogg concert at that frat house in Old School.
What is his name?
Oh, see, you don't know.
I know it.
I have no idea.
Well, it's Frank the Tank, right?
Is his name?
Frank the Tank. And it's Frank, I can't think of his last name. Oh, Frank Ricard. I can remember him leaving he's leaving a voicemail for his wife, who he's broken up with, because he thought they were in the trust tree with the psychologist.
Oh, that's where you get the trust tree
The trust
from.
tree. I thought we were in the psychologist, because sometimes he found himself wondering what kind of underwear women were wearing. And then, they both look at him like, wait. And then he looks at him and he goes, wait, I thought we were in the trust tree, because they're newly married and he's struggling.
Pete says you're right. Frank
Ricard. Damn, okay. I'm good.
ATX Waffle Master. Name the movie this quote is from. You're killing me, Smalls. Sandlot. I know that one. Baseball guy. We would run that on MLB Network like all season long.
Classic.
Just on loop. So I saw that from time to time. Name this one from Jay Curtis 68. Name the four characters from The Wizard of Oz. The Lion, the Tin Man, Dorothy, the Witch. Right? Is that four? The Toto.
Well, but that works, but it's not the four. Wait, it's not the four that went on the yellow brick road. You're missing one. You said the Tin Man, the Lion, Dorothy. Who's the other one?
Scarecrow.
Thank you. There we go. All right, good. Have you seen that movie before?
I have seen that movie.
Okay, good.
Good. It's in Technicolor.
Yes.
They open the door, and then for the first time, people in America saw color. Even in their normal everyday life, they didn't even see it up until that point. And it was just like, that was such a huge moment. Hobbit, last one. Hobbit 2343. I've done pretty well so far.
You have.
What car is Marty McFly's time machine? The DeLorean.
Wow.
These are movies I've seen. Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future. Here's a note. Ahmed had Back to the Future at number 3 in his top 5 movies last year. Thank you, Pete, for noting that, because I would have forgotten.
You forgot it was your top 3?
My top, top 5. He's number 3. Yeah, so I remember that one. Okay. I did actually fairly well.
You did. That was a little disappointing. I was hoping to make fun of you more.
Okay. Finally, Chris, let's do it. And I forget who this question came from, but they said, can you make a fake team in a fake city, brand it, give them colors? So we're not going to give them colors yet. We're not going to brand them. Well, we are going to give them a name. But we have settled on where we're awarding the Chris Sims franchise.
Right.
We've given a team to Rapid City. And I had to look before the podcast if Rapid City was in South Dakota or North Dakota. And it is in South Dakota.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like this is a victory for North Dakota. It's a victory for all the Dakotas, right?
It is.
I don't know that there's a rivalry.
Maybe we just call them we're going with the Rushmores as our nickname?
Rapid City Rushmores.
Right.
Which I'm a little hesitant because Rapid City does get a lot of pub already for having Mount Rushmore, right?
I did not know that. I didn't know it was in Rapid City.
Close to Mount Rushmore, right. Pete says.
So I think this can be a team for the Dakotas.
For the Dakotas. A team for the Dakotas.
Right.
This is a team for the Dakotas, which I was doing some searching on Google Trends. You can search for what areas of the country are searching for what or what is trending. I searched just NFL. I kid you not. And in the top 5 states that came up that was searching NFL stuff, both Dakotas came up as searching for the most NFL content on Google.
Is that right?
So there's a need.
Wow.
We're filling a need.
Okay.
In Dakota.
Wow.
I feel like we're kind of heroes.
Sure.
So if you're
I feel like a hero too.
If you're from North or South Dakota,
your heroes are here, don't worry. We're saving you. We're the football team.
If you're from either of those 2 states, we are your heroes. Okay. So let's fill out your team. Let's do the offense real quick.
Come on, you know the quarterback.
So the quarterback, we're going to go. So here's the rule. It's your favorite player that's currently playing.
Yeah.
Right? He's got to be an active player.
Right.
This is your favorite player. And it's not how they're currently playing. It's not the best player right now. It's like at some point you loved this guy so much.
Yeah.
And he's still playing that we're putting him on the team.
Yeah, a lot of them are playing awesome here too. So it'll fit. So don't worry.
And Pete guessed too. We both guessed for quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
You know it.
Okay, that's easy.
I got to go with the Rodgers of Aaron's.
Running back, we both have the same one here too. We both guessed that you would pick Saquon Barkley.
You're right. I'm going with Saquon.
2 for 2. Wide receiver, we both guessed. We got 3 wide receivers.
Okay,
we're going 3 wide.
I put 3 wide. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we're going, going after it. No,
First one, we both agree, Odell Beckham Jr.
Of course.
Okay. Second one, we have a disagreement, and I think he's right, and I think I might be wrong. He goes DeAndre Hopkins. I go Mike Evans.
Ooh, Mike Evans is on my list.
He is on your list.
Yes, he is. So you would be correct. And I have one other receiver, of course.
All right. I guessed for your other receiver, Julio Jones, and he guessed Stephon Diggs.
Ooh, I'm going with Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill.
Man.
Makes sense. He's your number 1 receiver.
OBJ, Tyreek Hill. I'm a sucker for speed. I'm a sucker for yards after the catch. And then I needed one size guy. And to me, currently playing size guy and a size guy that has a rare ability to also just beat people with straight speed.
Yeah.
That's why I went with Mike Evans there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tight
it hurt
end.
me to not have Julio. It hurt, but
Julio.
Yeah.
He can be on the practice squad.
Yeah, he's on the practice squad.
Tight end, I dropped the ball big time because there was one time, and I don't remember when it was. I think it was like a year ago. Who knows even now. You were very passionately talking about Jimmy Graham, and I couldn't remember if it was
good or bad.
Yeah, you really liked something that he was doing, or you really disliked something that he was doing. I've come to find out it was the latter.
Yes. So your Jimmy Graham guess
Jimmy
is
Graham
wrong.
was my guess, and Pete guessed George Kittle.
I went Gronk.
Oh, Gronk.
Kittle was thought about.
Yeah.
I like big tight ends.
Yeah.
I like big offensive lines. I am. I'm a believer in that. I want to maul you.
Okay.
I don't want just like oh, we have good athletes and we position block and things like that. I want to be able to, on 3rd and 2, just go, nah, we're coming straight and we're going to just drive you off the ball. And Gronk could help that, let alone be, this big target in the pass game.
It was not on my radar. I should have thought of that one. All right, your offensive line here.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I went left tackle, right tackle, because I figure on your offense it's all interchangeable.
Yes.
We can move guys around. They can be flexible.
They can. I mean, if a guy can play left tackle, I'm sure he could shuffle the other way and play right tackle.
So I'll go the 4 tackles that we said. We all said different people. Pete and I said different people. Here are the 4. I said David Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
I said Jason Peters. And he said Ronnie Stanley and Laramie Tunsil.
Ooh, good ones. You're all wrong.
Really? None of those 4?
So I'm a little biased with my tackles. One, because
it's your favorite players. You should be. That's the whole point.
And so Trent Williams is one of them.
Trent Williams.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, who was dominating in camp already.
Well, Trent Williams is just, was put on my radar so long ago, early in his career with, the Shanahan family, with with Washington. And Kyle just, early on in his time there with Washington, just going like, dude, this guy is, a freak. You got to watch him when the season starts. And we haven't even played a game, and I think this guy's a Hall of Fame left tackle. Like, nobody can get around him in practice. It's unbelievable, blah, 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 blah. And it just never stopped. And I know he took the year off last year, but he's back, and he's with the 49ers. So, yeah, he's my my left tackle for sure. My right tackle, I went sheer size. Trent Brown.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I did. I want road graders. That's what I'm going with. So Trent Brown, and I honestly probably didn't have as a dominant year last year as I would have expected him. But still really, really good. And yes, I mean, awesome pass protector. And when he's motivated and going, man, he can open up some holes in the run game.
Pete says the Trent Towers. You got the Trent Towers here.
I like that.
At this point, I think it might be worth it to fill out the whole offensive line with Trents. Can we?
I don't know if we can. I think I'm out of Trents.
Pete's upset, too, because he says Laramie Tunsil's a friend of the pod.
He is a friend of the pod.
Friend
of
the pod. Still a friend of the pod.
Still a friend of the pod.
Still a friend of the pod. And we love his game.
We do.
Your guards, we have 3. We both agreed on Quentin Nelson.
You're right about that.
Right there? Okay.
Yes.
And then the other guard, he went with Zach Martin. I went with Roger Saffold.
Ooh, I mean, both good ones. And very nice on you on Roger Saffold, because he's kind of been one of my man crushes for a long time. I, though, went Brandon Brooks of the Philadelphia Eagles here.
Okay.
No, Brandon Brooks, anybody that used to listen to my podcast back in the old days and stuff like that, before he even went to Philadelphia, Houston Texans, all that, man, I've always loved Brandon Brooks. Now, he's hurt this year, which stinks.
We turned off injuries.
But as you could tell, yes.
We've turned them off.
I mean, when you talk about the size of my offensive line, it's brutal.
All right, in your center, we both agreed.
There's no way you're going to get this.
Okay, well, then we're wrong.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey is what we both said.
He was on this list. He was second.
Yeah.
I'm going with Rodney Hudson as my number 1.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Rodney Hudson,
Raiders. I was in Oakland when he came over there, and I remember he really transformed that offensive line. It was like built around him.
He's special.
Yeah.
He is a special offensive line. Came from Kansas City. Was it Kansas City before that? Yeah, it was Kansas City, right? I'm totally got so many names and people in my head. So, yeah, he came from Kansas City before that. But, yes, as much as I love Jason Kelsey, he's a better athlete than Rodney Hudson and things like that. Hudson, again, I go back to my size and road grading. Hudson can really root people out of the ground and move people. Kelsey's not that kind of way. Kelsey's going to be able to do things in the screen game and on the edge that Rodney Hudson can't do. But as far as like pure downhill run blocking, Kelsey's more of a, I'm just going to get in your way, you won't make the tackle. Rodney Hudson's kind of like, I'm going to fire off the ball, and you're going to be 4 yards downfield, and I'm going to open up the hole myself. Was he in Kansas City before that? Did you look
He
that
was.
up?
4 years in Kansas City.
I don't know why I thought for a second I was wrong.
He was a second round pick, 55th overall in 2011. Out of what college?
I don't know.
Florida State.
Damn. I was going to say it, but I chickened out.
You did say you finished my sentence.
I know. You know what made me chicken out is Cam Urban, who was there for a while. He was a Florida State guy, too.
So I got 5. Pete got 4.
Yeah.
Okay, and he notes here, homie Diogo Mendez submitted a lineup and almost nailed it. So he had Mahomes as your quarterback.
Okay.
That's a huge miss, though. I feel like that should disqualify him.
He doesn't even know me.
I mean, you love Mahomes, but he had OBJ, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, nailed your wide receivers. He had Kittle.
Okay.
He had running back AP. He had Adrian Peterson.
You know what? Honestly,
You want to put him on?
I will say he
so
kind
fun
of
to
slipped
watch.
my brain because it's like the good AP's been gone for a while.
I'll let you put him
It's
on.
all right. I'll stay with Saquon. I'm going to stay with what I originally put on
No,
there.
you don't have to, though. This is you can make a cut. This is your team. You're the GM.
It's okay. I'm going new age Saquon. Don't worry.
All right.
Yeah.
Trent Williams, Ronnie Stanley, Quentin Nelson, Zach Martin, Jason Kelsey.
That's
So
not
yeah,
bad.
there's not
He
bad.
was close. I
He
mean,
was close.
the ones you guys guessed on, they were my second. I wrote Kittle down at first, and then
Yeah.
I went, oh, wait, Gronk's playing. And, yeah, Gronk's my favorite tight end I think I've ever seen play, and I think he's the greatest tight end I've ever seen play.
All right, that's good. So we're going to stop this pod, and I'm going to clap soon. That's going to be the end of it. But there's going to be another video that we're going to do, you at the whiteboard.
Yeah.
Right? You're
We're
going to
gonna
stand up.
We're going to break down the process. Like, people have been asking about what a quarterback goes through mentally after they break the huddle. Like, what are they focusing in on? And, what's kind of their mental checkpoints from each phase right before the snap to, breaking the huddle, getting everybody lined up. What is the quarterback looking at on defense, motions, all that stuff, all the context clues that help a quarterback, execute a play the right way, and also within the context clues of what we're taught during the week, what to look for. That'll give us clues for other things to look for as well. So, we're going to do that here in a second.
And if it's anything like the last time we did it, you will berate me at
Hopefully.
some point and make me look dumb.
Yes.
So you can check that out with a separate video. You can also check out Peter King, his podcast, got a one-on-one with Patrick Mahomes.
Man.
Spoke of the 3rd and 15 play in the Super Bowl, what he needs to improve upon in 2020. Also wraps up his training camp tour with an interview with a friend of the podcast, Annie. He does an interview with Annie?
Wow.
Annie is on the pod.
That's pretty big time.
She talks about her experience driving around with Peter
Oh.
for weeks on end.
Oh. That's. I hope they paid her double for that.
You earn a badge. You earn a trophy.
You
when
need
get
to
back.
earn something after that. I know that.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Big Phil, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. We should have Big Phil back in the fold.
Roto World's Josh Norris, maybe.
Bam. Some fantasy talk. I like that.
We're getting close. I mean, we're draft time
Yeah.
for a lot of teams out there.
Yeah.
And then, time permitting, the Rapid City Rushmores defense.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Think about that.
Yep.
I want to try to be better than 5. I got a good.
5 was pretty good.
5 was good. I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Don't beat yourself up.
All right.
All right, you ready?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's clap it up.
Well done, everyone.
Way to go. Way to go. That's it for Chris Sims. Look at us, Chris Sims, Ahmed Fareed. Our pits are clean today.
Yeah.
Ahmed's wearing his beautiful yachting pants.
Yes. I could go on a boat.
You could
Very
go on a
New
boat
England,
today.
Yeah.
Definitely. You're
New
looking-
England kind of boating. but
Looking good.
You encroached on me here a little bit.
Did I get close to you?
You moved to 5.5 feet.
Yeah. Would I get in trouble if I came over and hugged you right now? Like, would they be like, all right, no more
They would
podcasts in
edit it
person?
out. They'd edit it out.
You're right. All right. That's it. We'll be back Thursday, us two fools. And you
Yeah.
can see our people here are growing, but we'll be back Thursday. Hopefully Big Phil and a number of other things to hit. Everybody be good. Enjoy the next few days. Keep sending questions.
Yes.
Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is. We want to answer them. We're going to keep doing this stuff all the time. Peace out.
Peace out.
Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Sims Unbuttoned Podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.